Today I would like us to reflect on the people that we meet and so easily judge and make assumptions about. However, we don't know anything about these people's lives. I work with human trafficking victims, and most of these women didn't at all choose this industry. However, the only option they had for doing this, for providing, was selling their bodies.
I ended up in prostitution because my mother had some debt with the Mashonisas in the township, and they were threatening to take the only thing that we had as a home, and which was the shack. But initially I was introduced into prostitution by a man who offered to pay me for sexual services when I was looking for a job. I had a timeline, and my timeline was that I was going to be there for about a month, and I was going to get this money, pay off the debt. After paying off the debt, I was going to come back and get some money to start off a business. But I found out that 9 years later I was still trapped in the system of prostitution, because it's more difficult to come out than it is to come in. You don't necessarily have a choice in terms of a preference. Let's say you like tall, dark guys, and none tall, dark guys come. And so that's what you have to take. And that on its own is abusive. A man would come there who are dirty, men who you would not literally sleep with, and you are letting them into your very intimate space. And so that was abusive on its own to begin with. And the fact that men who buy sex are very violent. They've done a lot of things to women, including myself.
I started this in this industry is because I was not working and I didn't have a place to stay. I was staying around with friends, so I met some friends of mine that they were in this industry, and then so the way I started. And then usually I was not working basically on the street. Most of the time I was working in the brothel houses. It was not a nice journey because it is worse for me because I'm a lesbian, and I was doing this business because of money. I was suffering. I needed a rent. I needed to give food to my kids.
It wasn't my choice, but I have to get in just because of suffering at home. After my older sister died, passed away, so I must look for a job. I don't find a job, so a friend of mine came to me and talk about this, and then I end up going to that.
These women who we so easily judge for selling their bodies very often made a very honorable decision, a very brave decision to put themselves through the worst possible pain in order to support a whole family. Some of these women do find a way of breaking free from this horrific industry. However, most of them just do not have the opportunity.
There must be a lot of workshops that they can help people to forget about selling themselves, yes, and then they can think of their future, yes, and something that they can make them to be proud as a woman.
The workshop made me feel the person, just because at that time I was there, and this time I'm in the workshop, it's not the same. This time I'm in the workshop, the person, I feel loved again. I feel I'm born again. Yes, all that things are thrown there in the dustbin, so I'm new now.
Before I was like a wild animal, I can say, because I couldn't stay with people, I couldn't spend time and enjoy and talk to them. But now my anger is lower than before. They made us realize that what we are doing is there's some options than doing sex work. They put us in a safe spaces, like sharing everything that is going through, that we went through while you were doing it. And then now I think it's where that we are starting to forgive ourselves.
Oh, it changed me a lot. Just because my mind now is not even there. I'm not thinking about to go to the street anymore now. Well, it's worse when I'm here in the workshop. Oh, my mind is lost all that old stuff there. Yes, it helped me a lot. It cools my mind, my stress, everything.
I'm currently now the advocacy manager, and I've also gotten the opportunity to go and study. I'm now a first year student doing a BA General at the University of the Western Cape, and hopefully hoping to use my skills afterwards to enhance this advocacy and to raise an awareness about the dangers and the harms of the system of prostitution. And I got to where I am today by realizing that I can turn my misery into a story that could help assist others. And the fact that people were glamorizing the system of prostitution who do not know and who've never been there, I felt that it is upon me and it's my duty to raise an awareness for young women not to be lured or not to buy the story that prostitution is that glamorous, because it is not. It entails a lot of violence, trauma, abuse, persistent inequalities, and you get out of prostitution poorer than what you were before you entered. And also in prostitution you come out with scars, both internally and external scars. And I would like to say to young people, to young women today, that their worth is far more than just being sexual objects for men and commodities that men can buy and exploit for their own sexual gratification, because the system of prostitution is not necessarily about the sexual liberation of women, but it is rather about men's access to women's bodies to gratify themselves sexually. So that's one thing that we need to understand, because it is being promoted out there that women are doing what they choose to do. Can we really say it is a choice when you have not had other options? Because the definition of choice is when you have had the power, the option, and the right to choose. So it's not about necessarily recognizing it as work, but it is about taking those women who want out and giving them better opportunities and broadening their opportunities so that they have more varieties and not have to sell sex as a means of survival.
What I wish for the children, I wish they can't be in my foot where I was. I wish there were a brighter future for them. I wish education for them and find job after education. I don't wish them to end up there just because it's not a good place there. It's devil itself, that thing. So I don't really want younger children to end up go there.
Today I would like to ask you, if you are in the position where you have jobs available for these ladies and you are kind enough to offer it to them, then please contact Space for Self.